Okay, I'm here with Martin from Black Box Games, who are, and they're here to talk to me today about Lords of War, brand new game. So please go ahead.
Okay, well, Lords of War is a slightly collectible strategic card game. Collectible in the sense that we have a range of different decks that we're planning to release over time, but it's not a blister pack game. So the idea is you buy it, it's bespoke, every pack's the same, but you can then customize the decks after the fact if you want to buy more. The way the game's structured, sort of like a pyramid of army, if you imagine. So you've got really strong troops at the top, weak ones at the bottom, and strip out some weak troops of a particular type, stick in some more of a different type from a different army or more from the same. It's up to you, really. So the inspiration for the game was as fair as possible, but as customizable as possible.
Okay, and in addition to the card game, I know you've also got the app for various systems as well. If you want to talk about that for me?
Yeah. So the app is coming out in February. So we're in alpha at the moment. We'll be entering into beta. And today at Dragonmeet, we are signing people up to test the beta. But if people go to lords-of-war.com, then you can also sign up for the beta there, take part in the forums there, and read about the extended universe, all of the fan fiction, because we've designed this game as game lovers to try and supply people with what we love about games and to never let people down. That was our founding principle with Black Box Games. We never want to let people down.
Okay, so I know this is a new thing for you. So how have you come into the gaming industry? What's the background into doing this?
Well, I have always been designing games. So Nick, my business partner, and I, we met through friends and family. My sister-in-law had her daughter at the same nursery, and they got chatting out the back of the nursery about the fact that she knew someone who also liked to design games. But I think the first game I ever designed, I must have been about 6 years old. It's always been a dream, and I've always done it with pens and paper and colouring things in, and recently ripping off imagery from the internet and trying to work with that. When we met each other, Nick and I, we had so many different games concepts that were in attics or back cupboards, and they'd accumulated dust. And we sort of got them all together, started playing them all with each other and talking about which ones we'd like to try and pursue, because finally we had backup, if you know what I mean, because it's really hard to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So we're extremely lucky to have really supportive friends and really supportive family, and also a bit of a fan base that's growing at the moment because we've been running testing sessions about the place. Anyway, Nick and I met, we went through all of our different games concepts, and Lords of War was the one we settled on, although at the time Lords of War was Celts versus Romans. It was based on historical battles, kind of inspired by wargaming. And I looked at it, we went around a series of different game fairs, tested the game, worked with a few gaming groups throughout the southeast and southwest, and got some feedback from them, and they said, you know what, start with fantasy. Fantasy's a great way in. Look at the orcs, look at the dwarves, look at the elves, look at the lizard men, look at the Templars, look at the undead, look at all that sort of stuff, and then start to phase in historical battles if you can. Now the principle of the game as we built it was, we want you to be able to cross-play. So we want you to be able to play with dwarves against cowboys from a Cowboys and Indian deck. Or we want you to be able to play with, say, a steampunk version of orcs versus the fantasy ancient version of orcs.
That sounds fantastic, I have to say.
Well, that's where we'd like to be. It takes time, though. As any new game designer will imagine, we have paid for every single thing ourselves. So we both started with teachers. So it was a little bit of salary here, a little bit of salary there, saving up to try and get to the place we are now. Luckily, we attracted some investment to get us to the point where we could print, so we've run off an initial print run of Dwarves versus Orcs. Elves versus Lizardmen are ready to go, but we really need to prove that there's a market there for the product. So we're at the moment talking to a few different distributors, hoping that in the new year we're going to start pushing this out in a big way to retailers. And along the development process for us, we went and talked to a lot of retailers, asked them what they wanted, tried to build the product in a way whereby it would appeal to them and be as useful to them. They can stock it however they want. It's not too expensive per unit price, so they can have a limited number on their shelves, so they can have a hell of a lot. I mean, we really tried. It's been 2 years. It's been totally worth it. Most amazing experience of my life, I'd say, with the possible exception of meeting my wife and marrying her. I'll get in trouble if I don't mention that. That also happened this year. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. So not only did I get married, but this year I've had a baby.
Yes. And the other question we're asking people today is about the UK gaming industry in general, where you feel it's at and whether it's kind of growing, shrinking, your impressions generally.
Well, it's a very, very hard question to answer, I'd say.
Yes.
We live in an increasingly global world, and I think that the internet connects us all in a way that is profoundly powerful. But when we were going through the development process for Lords of War, what we realized is that gamers are playing games with people in Australia as much as they're playing locally, if you see what I mean. Which is why we developed the app. We wanted people to be able to play the game however they wanted. And I think that that's our responsibility as games designers, is to make these games as flexible and as fun as possible. Now, for me, there's nothing that quite beats sitting around a table with my friends, playing a game, interfacing with one another, a little bit of sass. But at the same time, weirdly, as I'll be playing my various different games, because I play a lot of board games, I like to DM, I'm a big Dungeon Master kind of guy, got a lot of other games that I've built that I play with my friends. It's funny now that we've got the app version of Lords of War, we'll be playing a game, and at the same time, people will be playing the app and passing it around the table as they're waiting for their turn. So it seems like there's never been more gamers in the world. It's never been cooler to be a gamer. I think there's no better truth than the geek shall inherit the earth. Nobody's going to sack people like us. We are highly employable, highly skilled, highly passionate about what we do. So we're always going to be spending our money on the things that we love. In terms of the UK specifically, we've got a problem in the sense in which we're starting to bleed out into more mainstream areas. There are more people playing video games in a bigger way, a lot of ladies playing video games like Farmville and all that sort of stuff. Facebook has opened that up enormously. We, with our fantasy theme for Lords of War, have really struggled to try and appeal to a bigger market. So we structured our artwork, for example. If you go to lords-of-war.com and have a look at the artwork there, we were very conscious that we didn't want it to be too macho, too male. We wanted it to appeal to women so that they would feel like it was kind of funny, kind of cute. What we tend to find is that maybe ladies don't buy these games in as great a volume as men do, but that if they see the game being played over their boyfriend's shoulder or they're around at a mate's house and they're playing a game, they'll give it a crack. And if they like it, then they'll buy it and then they'll share it with each other. So it's this kind of balance of socially acceptable. What can people do? What's cool? All that sort of stuff. So yeah, UK games industry, I think it's in a healthy place. Give us 2 years. If we can get out of recession, we'll be in a much, much better place. But it all comes down to fans. You kind of got to be good to your fans, support your fans, make sure that they have what they need, listen to them, and hopefully, if you do that, they'll keep buying your stuff.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure, and we wish you all the best with the game and the app.
Have an amazing Dragonmeet.
Thank you.
Thank you.